There used to be woods there and here, I said. No, there ain't. Well, we're down here at Van's Bridge. It was named for Van's Bridge because the people up there lived up there. So we named it for Van's Bridge, and this is where we used to swim. This is where we learned how to swim. There's probably only 4 or 5 feet tall, foot deep, but we used to get on top of here and jump in, and that was crazy. But we're down here on Big Crooked Creek Road. Well, actually, this is Warrendale Maiden Road now off of Big Crooked Creek. And we used to walk all the way from my mom's house all the way down here to go swimming. So in the summertime, by the time we walked back, we were all hot and bothered again. So we felt like going down again, but I don't think we ever did. We were too tired. But we used to come down here and fish. We used to stand on the bridge and fish down here. And we used to really, when we come down to Pittsburgh Rochester Road, we used to go into the creek there by that bridge, and we used to sometimes walk down the creek down to here to keep cool. And this used to be all woods over here, and that used to be all woods over there. There was no grass or nothing here, it was all woods. And now it was all cut down and people are cutting it and it looks real nice. And that's about it. It was a lot of fun down here. We used to spend all day down here. We were never worried about eating or nothing. We used to just stay here all day and swim. All right. Okay, well, at the beginning of Pittsburgh Rochester Road, Stanford's is the first house down there when you're coming up on the left. And this second house was my Uncle Joe's and Aunt Helen's. And it's tore down now. You could see the old foundation over there. And they had running water, but they, as far as I know, they didn't have a toilet. So they had an outhouse on the other side of the road, on the other side of the building. And this is really the driveway here, and the house is right there. When you pulled in the driveway, you were probably only about 10 feet away from the house. This driveway used to go all the way up there, and Uncle Charlie lived up there in a one-room shack. It was probably only a 6 by 8 building, but he lived up there by himself. He was, when I was young, he was probably in his 50s or 60s. He was Uncle Curry's brother. And if you could fan around a little bit, Brandon, if you want to, there's the house that Uncle Curry and Aunt Barbie had. And this was Uncle Joe's. But yeah, he lived up there, and we used to skip school sometime and go up there, and he used to make us cocoa. And we used to stay up there hide until school was out, and then we'd walk home like we went to school. And but this driveway actually goes up even further, and then it bears around to the left, and then it goes to the right up on top of that hill where my Aunt Katie had started excavating up there, digging out a place for to build a house, and they drilled a well too, but we never knew why they stopped. Nobody knows why they stopped because nobody asked, and it's too late now. So that's this property here. And now a doctor bought this 27 acres, part of my grandma and grandfather's farm. He bought this for his son supposedly for an investment later on. I don't know his name or nothing, but that's what I heard. And when my Uncle Joe and Aunt Helen weren't here no more, maybe they were here, my cousin Jimmy Advantage built that grotto there and put a blessed statue of our Blessed Mother in there. That was when my cousin Teresa died, to honor her. He built that. It's a beautiful brick little chapel, like. It's still there. So we'll see how long it stays. Teresa died, like I said, and Jimmy Venus built that and put Blessed Mother in there. But Teresa was Uncle Joe's daughter from his first wife. Teresa and Dolores were from his first wife, and Tommy, Bobby, and Isabel was from his second wife, and Helen. Now, Uncle Joe's first wife, I still to this day don't know her name. Now, probably people know it, and I just never thought of asking. But I don't know his first wife's name. If she died, how she died, if she just left, I don't know nothing about it. So, gonna have to ask like one of the older bosses. They know. Find out the story on that. Okay. Okay, this is where my Aunt Mary lived, and this is a house right up from Uncle Joe's on Old Pittsburgh Rochester Road. It's the next house, the next piece of property. My Aunt Mary lived here, and they had no running water until later on, or no toilets until later on. They put some money into it and got that. And I don't know much about Aunt Mary's husband, but he was gone when I was 5 or 6. I don't ever remember him being around. And now my cousin Jimmy McCullough bought this, and it looks like they're doing a lot of renovating here to get things so they could live in it. And they bought this off of Robin, the priest in our family. Aunt Mary was his mother. And he had a brother named Jim, and a brother named Alan, a sister named Marcella, and might have been more, I don't remember. But anyway, this was Aunt Mary's house. And if you fan around, Brandon, you can see the piece of property that they own. It looks like they cleared it all out up there. This was all woods. We used to walk down here, up over the hill, down here, and right down there used to be our ball field. It's all grown in now, but that's where we played ball all the time. We spent a lot of days down there, probably as many days down there playing ball as we did down at the swimming hole. All summer long, that's all we did, play, like every other kid. We didn't want to be in the house. We were outside doing things. And that's about all here. That garage, that's a new garage there. Jimmy Banish, who lives here, they put that grotto in down there, my Uncle Joe's. He built another one right there. If you fan around, you can see it, Brandon. He built that grotto too, and Blessed Virgin Mary is still in there. And he built this garage when he moved in here with his son. with Aunt Mary, took care of Aunt Mary. Oh, and Ethel. Ethel too was his sister that lived in there. And that's it. Okay, this is my Uncle Frank's house. Right after he finished his house. And that ain't the house they lived in. That's the newer house. They lived in a wooden house. Had no drywall in it, no bathroom, no running water, nothing. And they raised 13 kids in there. That was my Uncle Frank and Aunt Anna. Okay. Okay, we're right across the street, Old Pittsburgh Rochester Road. And if you look up, that's where it all began. That's where Frank and Hermina Bosch built their house and bought all this property on both sides of the road. Now, as you can see, it's all remodeled. The Franchaks bought that, and the Franchaks lived right across the street from where my Uncle Frank lived. And there's somebody different living in the Franchak house now. But the Franchak son bought that house and got the property with it. And when we were growing up, I remember they used to have cows in a big bowl. We wanted to go down the other side of the property, look for mushrooms or whatever we were going to do down there in the woods. And we used to be so afraid of that bowl. We used to have to, because there was no woods up there, it was all open. And we made sure we didn't go down there when that bowl was out, put it that way. We were scared. So yeah, this is where it all began. This is Grandma and Grandma's property. We'll be going up the road a little bit now. The next stop will be my Aunt Minnie and my Uncle Johnny, and then my mom and dad, and my sister after that. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? I'm not going to do nothing. Come on down here. You come on down here, let me touch you. You come on over here. Okay, we moved up along Pittsburgh Rochester Road. We're on the other side of Frank and Hermina's Bosch's house, my grandma and grandfather. And what I wanted to show you was they used to have a big barn here. You can see the foundation right there that's still left. The barn used to be here and used to walk right into the barn from this elevation here. And they used to have a basketball net in there, and we'd sneak in there and play basketball when Emil Sendek, who bought that off of Grandma and Grandpa, we used to sneak in there during the day and play basketball because it had a wooden floor. And underneath was parked old tractors and an old truck. And that's where the animals stayed. That's where all the cows and everything stayed in that bowl. Um, I think they had chickens. I'm not sure. Most families here, even after Grandma and Grandpa passed away, everybody had chickens. I grew up with chickens. We raised chickens. My Uncle Frank had chickens. Everybody had chickens. So, hey, that was the way we went through life. That's all there was to it. Okay. next property up from my Uncle Frank's, which is almost catty corner from Grandma and Grandpa's house across the road. This is where my Aunt Minnie lived. She was also, the whole time I knew her, her husband was gone too. They had no running water. They had no toilet. There was a well down there on the property next to the road. They used to get out and bail it out by buckets, walk it up here and use it for cooking and bathing and everything. And as you can see now, the house is gone. Judy, this was the Eckerts. Judy, her daughter, after she moved to California, she had this tore down because she was afraid somebody was going to go in and get hurt. So it's no longer here. You can't even see the foundation. Because there was a basement in there, but it was just a dirt floor basement. There wasn't anybody living. They didn't have nothing down there except their coal furnace. And they raised, let's see, there was Judy, Dickie, Tommy, Sonny, who else? I know I'm missing somebody. Well, that's some of them. I can't remember them all. But I'm sure Brandon has them all on paper somewhere. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're at the end of the driveway that connected the Eckert property, which is right 100 feet up there, like I showed you. Hello. To the John Bosch's property. They lived here. When I was growing up, they started building a house here. And they had running water, they had toilets and everything. And okay, like I was saying, Uncle Johnny died early. He was working on a construction crew and had a heart attack. And he died when Matt was probably 8 or 9 or 7, I don't remember, maybe 10. And my Aunt Camille raised the family the rest of the way. So they live here now. They added that section on over there later on. No, wait, I'm wrong. They added this section on later on. That was the house right there. And yeah, this was Uncle John's and Aunt Camille's property right here. Nice piece of property. And if you keep on going down the woods down that way, right over the hill you walk into the coal mine. The coal mine was down there on the side of the mountain. And if you walk down through the valley over here, you'll see pipes stretched across the valley. That was Valvoline. Valvoline had a lease on extracting the gas out underneath here. And they piped it, who knows where, I don't know where it went. But you could still see the pipes today. And a coal mine leased a coal mine off of them, off of my grandmother and grandfather. And but they got ripped off. So there was no money. That was it on that. Next we're going to go up here to where my mother and dad, right next door where my mother and dad and me and I was raised. Now the house don't look like it did before. All we had was a 2-story little house, and my brother Harry and Linda bought it, and they put a bunch of money into it, and it looks like a mansion now. And then they sold it to a lady who lives there now. Okay, we're going to go up the end of the driveway and look at it now. The match mill marks next to it, 620. Right here. Well, we got to get that house over there too. In here where I put it in, that wall was never there. It was just a pile of rocks in the dirt. They're buried. Buck got some stone delivered, and all he did, I think, was just set them on top of one another. And they just fell down, and over time the dirt kept on coming down over the hill and burying the rocks. And he just said, oh, as long as it's hurting, as long as it's holding the dirt back, he wasn't worried about it. And then when I wanted to fix this front up because it looked like crap from the road. And I dug all them rocks out, and I said, heck, I might as well go all the way up to that second tier up there. And it was all rock that was here. I just fit it all in. Took me a while, but I got it. Okay, I'm standing in the driveway, the new concrete driveway that my brother Harry put in. And this is where we grew up, me and my 12, 13 of us. And my brother Harry put a lot of money into this, and you can see how nice it is now. My dad built it originally. He did all the block work. He did it from the ground up. He built the whole house for us. And at the end of the driveway there was like a little garage down there. And that's where they lived while the house was being built. My mother and dad, and I think either 3 or 4 of us lived in that garage while the house was being built. I don't remember being there, but my brother Johnny, who's a year older than me, remembers being in there. And I think my sister Judy remembers being there. She was 2 years older than me. But that's where it all started, that garage down there at the end of the driveway. And when the house was built and we moved in it, they turned that garage into a chicken coop. So we had chickens down there that stayed in there. But the chickens ran all over the place. They could go anywhere they want to. That was just a place for them to nest, that's all. They were all over the place. So, time went fast. Okay, this is where I grew up. My dad built this place. Of course, it didn't look like this when he built it. My mother passed away in 1997, lived here until she died. My brother and his wife Linda, we gave him the property and the house. He moved from Florida, and moved in here and took care of my mother until she died. And that's about it. I have to come out here. Where's the thing out of here? I don't have anything to hold it down with. Well, I'm gonna come out over the weekend and I'll fix it all up. She wants me to leave them up there till the end of January, so I don't want to take them down yet. I'm gonna have to come up tomorrow or Sunday and figure out something. Get the algae off. Alright, we can go through this. Okay, we're standing in back of my mother and dad's house. As you can see, it's fenced in now because the lady who bought this place has dogs, so she didn't want them to be running all over the place. But this is where we did a lot of our playing. We played wiffle ball. This is our wiffle ball field right here. We played wiffle ball and can ball back here. And my sister Judy lives over there in that house, and her husband Johnny. And we used to play, we have golf holes out here. We used to play golf out here too. That was a lot of fun playing golf back here. Actually, we didn't start playing golf out here until later on after I was married. When we were little, we didn't have golf holes because we didn't have no golf balls or golf clubs. But later on, we added golf holes out here, and we used to come out to have the get-togethers with my mom and dad. We used to play golf, and we used to play. This is our football field too. We used to have on Thanksgiving. We used to have the Turkey Bowl, where everybody could play. Kids, girls, boys, whoever wanted to, no matter how little they were, they could play. And we used to every Thursday, every Thanksgiving, have that football game. And you can see the wood back there. That's not part of the property. I don't know how far back. I think my grandmother and grandfather owned that too, that property back there, but I'm not sure. Our property ended right down the bottom of that hill. There's a valley there. And there used to be a dump right there at the end of here. There used to be a dump there where in those days you dumped, everybody had their own dump. You dumped everything there. And then later on when they had garbage people coming around, you weren't allowed to dump no more. So that's the way that went. But this was a nice place to grow up, for sure. And I can remember there used to be, when the boys were little, maybe 6 or something, there used to be a little cherry tree here, wild cherry. And me and the 2 boys, we built a little tree house. It wasn't nothing, it was just old boards I found around the yard. And we put them up, and the boys loved to go up there. And that first day when we got done, they thought that was really something to go up there that high into the treehouse. They enjoyed that. And I took them down in the woods when they were little in Audra. And we did a lot of things out here. So, okay. Okay, this is the grapes my dad planted, and I think in the early 60s. And look, after 60 years, they're still here, they're still growing. We had grapes this year. Of course, they weren't really edible because they just grow and we don't put no pesticides or anything on them. So, but they're still here. And my dad planted these a long time ago. It's amazing they're still living. We don't trim them or anything. We just let them go. I think this year though I'm going to trim them back with this lady so we get a better, maybe we'll get a good crop this year. See what happens. If you follow that valley right there, Brandon, that ends up into a little creek at the end. And if you go to the left and go down somewhat, not far, maybe 1,000 or so feet, maybe longer, I don't know. That's where the coal mine is. So that's your bearing here. This valley goes right to the creek, and the creek goes all the way down, starts up there somewhere, comes all the way down, around the entrance to the coal mine, the front of it. And then it goes down, and then it ends up down there in Big Slicky Creek. And it goes under the road. They got a pipe under there. It goes under the road. Okay, this is Judy and Johnny, my sister's house. Husband's named Johnny. And it's right next door to my mom and dad's house. My mom gave them a piece of property, I think it's an acre maybe, and they built that house there. My dad basically built that house for them. And my brother-in-law Johnny did a lot of help, and Judy did a lot of help. And I can remember we all pitched in somewhat to help them, but that's the way it turned out. I think it looked beautiful. And they're still living there today. My sister Judy is 76. She was 76 this month, December 23rd. And Johnny's 80. So I wish him a lot of good, healthy years yet. Rocks sticking out of the dirt, and I had to dig all that out. And that was some hard digging. And I piled them all up, made them nice. Looks nice there now. Sandstone rocks. Kenny told me that me and him, he remembers me and him doing that. I said, where'd we get the rock? He says, I don't know. But he said he remembers me and him just piling them rocks on top of each other. And they're still like that. We're talking maybe 30, 50 years ago we did that. Probably in the, maybe even in the 60s, I don't know. That first part, this part here I built. But them big rocks there, the big boulders, that was, Kenny said we did that. So, okay, we picked it up. I'm gonna put this in there.